Okay, so this is the introduction to Microsoft Excel, and there is a accompanying handout in the resources folder if you don't have it. This is getting started with that. And the first thing we want to do is get familiar with the Excel window. And it is the same ribbon concept, and of course our file menu works the same way as with Word and PowerPoint, but there's a lot of differences. So again, we start with the ribbons. Some of them are the same. Home, insert, page layout, or should be familiar. Formulas and data are new and unique to Excel. Then review and view we also have. And we are actually not going to work through Excel by toolbar like we did in Word and PowerPoint, but we will work by what you can enter in the cell. I'll talk about cells in a minute. Underneath the ribbons, we have something called the formula bar. Okay, over here where it says A1, that tells the current cell. Over here is where you see what is entered in a cell, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute as well. Across the top we have letters of the alphabet. Each letter represents a column. There's lots of them, so you can go all the way to the end if you wanted to, but trust me, there's more columns than you could ever use. Down the left side you have row numbers. Okay, see the numbers 1 through 31 is what we see here, and if you keep going, again, more than 1,000,000 rows, so lots of rows. The intersection of a column and a row is called a cell, and the cell is identified by its column letter and its row number. So right now I'm clicked in cell A1. If I clicked over here, I would be in F11. Well, how do I know that? First of all, F11 is just has the outline around it, and I can see how F and 11 are highlighted. I can also look up here on the formula bar and see that F11 is the selected cell. And then at the bottom we have our sheet tabs, sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. We can have multiple worksheets in the same workbook in Excel, and we can actually interconnect them. That's a little more advanced than what we'll do. Alright, so what can you enter into a cell? Well, there's three things. You can enter text, okay, you can enter numbers, or you can enter formulas. So let me just put an example formula. Okay, let's talk about that. Text is mostly in Excel there to identify what the numbers mean. Okay, it's maybe a title for your spreadsheet, it may be column labels or row labels or whatever, but most of the time text's job is just to identify the numbers. And I can see if I look down here, it says text here, it also says text up there. The formula bar shows the contents of this current cell. Below that I have a couple numbers. I put 12 and 27. Again, if I look in the formula bar, I can see that I have a number. And then the next row I have a formula. Now for this formula I used cell references. So I said add the contents of cell A2 and A3 and put it in this cell. And you can tell that it's a formula when you look in the formula bar. You can't tell when you look at the spreadsheet. Now why did I use cell addresses instead of numbers? Okay, and I could have put in equal 12 plus 27 and gotten the same answer. But when I do that, say I came over here and I went, oh, that's not supposed to be 12, that's supposed to be 22. I can fix that number, and my formula that uses cell references is automatically correct. My formula that doesn't has to be manually corrected. So we're always trying to set things up so that we can do, Excel does the work and we can do as little work as possible. Okay, so the text that we enter, again, we have to just type it in for that. So let's go ahead and say on page 2 of the handout, hopefully you found it, we can enter, or you can copy me, but we've got to get it entered into our worksheet. And actually I think what I will do is pause recording until I have it all typed in, so you don't have to actually watch me type. So let me do that. Okay, so If you need to copy what I've entered, then you can just go ahead and pause the video right now while you enter your data. If you've printed the worksheet, then go ahead and you can see. Now, there's a lot of different things you could do for formatting, and typically you don't want to spend a lot of time formatting text because that's not the focus of a spreadsheet. A couple things: sometimes you want text to be over the whole sheet or over a few columns instead of just located in one column. The merge and center button here, and again, just watch, we'll do this together a little later. Merge and center button here will do just that. Okay. It again basically turns it into one big cell, and that's a toggle. I can turn it on and off. If I have text in a cell and I have something in the cell next to that text, okay, any text that doesn't fit within the cell is truncated. You can't see it. Okay, it's still there. You can see it if you look in the formula bar, but you can't read it. So what do I do if I need that text to fit within the column? I have a couple options. I can change my column width. I can just either drag or double click. Double click makes the cell just wide enough, or sometimes that's awkward. If I don't want it to be that wide, I can use this wrap text button. There you go. And it will wrap that text within the cell. Okay, so it'll be on multiple lines, but it fits in the cell. So changing the column width or wrapping the text. If like I said, if wrap text isn't an option, then I can change that column width. And the way you change column widths or row heights is on the sheet itself. You can use the mouse to drag and make wider, or double click to auto fit, or you can use the format and then column width and put an exact width. Okay, so maybe I wanted it to be 15. Okay, that's probably a little too wide, so we'll make that a little narrower. There we go. Okay, so there's column width, row height. Now I want to teach you about something really, really cool, and it's called the fill handle. And the fill handle is that little black dot in the corner of the box when the text is selected. And I know I'm pointing to my fill handle when it's a skinny, when my mouse pointer turns to a skinny black plus. And when I grab that fill handle by holding down the left mouse button, I can fill the cells. Filling is a little different than copying because it depends on what you have in the cell. I can fill text, I can fill numbers, and I can fill formulas and functions. But you notice what it did there when I filled it. Instead of saying January, January, January and copying, it actually said, oh, January, she must be wanting to do months, and it filled the rest of the months. And it's really smart. So I could fill Jan, and it would say, okay, she wants her months abbreviated. Or I could say, for example, Q1. Okay, and again, that's a pretty common label. So when I copy it, it would 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's smart enough to know to start over. Okay, let me put January back in there. Let me show you how you do it with numbers. So say I have the number 1, but I need to count to 100. Okay, if I just put in 1 and I use the fill handle, it'll just copy it. It's nothing exciting. But if I give it a pattern, oops, 1, 2, and then select both cells and use the fill handle, it will count, and it'll continue counting as long as you drag. And it doesn't have to be just 1, 2. You could put in 1, 3, and it would count by odd numbers. Okay. Or you could put in 1, 5, and it would count by 5s. Okay, as long as it's a recognizable pattern. Why did it do that? 1, 5. Oh, because I just started with 1. Sorry, 5, 10, and counted like that. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so anyway, you can see, and when we get to formulas and functions, I'll show how the cell works with that. A couple other things we have. One is cell styles. Cell styles is actually something that's offered in Word and PowerPoint and Excel. I tend to not use it as much in Word and PowerPoint, but I love it in Excel because with one click, I can click on the cell style drop down, I can click on the text, and it's formatted. And there's different cell styles that you can use. So heading styles at the top of a column, total style, always good to make your totals pop, all of those. Okay, so let me undo that so we get back to where you are. And then aligning the text within the cell. Actually, let me make this a little bit bigger and a little bit wider. There we go. When I'm aligning my text in a cell, I have left, center, and right. And again, the left, center, right is within that column. That's it. But I also have top, middle, and bottom. So I could put it, dead center. I could put it top left. I could put it bottom right. So I can put that data basically wherever I want to in that cell. Let me put that back. Okay. All right, now we're at the do together part. So let's step through together, and we will do a merge and center of A1 through K1. So fat white plus, hold down your mouse button, click on A1, hold down your mouse button, drag to K1. Okay. Once you have that, hit that merge and center button. Boom. And basically you're turning that into one great big cell. And then we're going to edit the content. So you can change the contents of cells. You don't have to, you can either just type over it, or if you want to, in this case we want this to say total per item, we could just type in per item. Okay, and it's there. Uh-oh, now it doesn't fit in our cell. What are we going to do? Well, we will click on that and we will tell it to wrap that text. Okay, and then I'm going to just show you a little trick. Sometimes you say, well, I'd really rather it wrap after the word total. If I hold down Alt, click after the L in total, hold down Alt and press Enter, I can tell it exactly where I want it to wrap. Okay, so that's the wrap text button for that. We're going to fill the rest of the months of the year. So go ahead and click on January, and then point to the corner when you have that skinny black plus and fill it across, so we have January through June. And click and drag. Alright, select the title. We're going to apply, for this one, we're going to apply cell style called title. Boom. Again, nice looking title. We didn't do a whole lot of work. For the months, we're going to select B2 through K2. Okay, so all of those cells, we're going to select all of them, so we do this all at the same time. We can apply the heading 2 style. That's a nice one for that. And let's go ahead and center these cells, all of them within the, center them within the column. And then we're going to come down here, select A8 over to K8. Okay, A8 to K8, and we were going to apply the total cell styles. Okay, again, right now there's nothing in there, but it will keep that formatting when we use it. And then we're going to come over here, select the cells, and we'll just make those bold so they stand out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we got those bold. And then February doesn't fit very well, so we will double click on this line between C and D and make February match. And then I don't like that being 3 tall, so I'm going to make that a little bit wider too. And now I can shorten my row height by double clicking between 2 and 3. And I know that's not in the book, but we need to do it anyway. Alright, so let's stop for a second and save. So File, Save As. Make sure you know where you're putting it, and we'll just call this Practice Excel Worksheet. Okay, and that is it for the text. I need you to enter some numbers, and again I'm going to pause the recording to enter the numbers. Numbers are on page 4, and then I will come back and finish up. Okay, so I've entered these numbers. Hopefully you've had a chance to too. If you need to, pause the video so that you can get the numbers typed in. Numbers are just there. They're the data basically that you need to be able to use your formulas and functions being the true power for Excel. What can we do with the numbers? Mostly we just format them, okay? And there's different ways to format. So I'm going to put a little number down here. So I'll put 15, 27, there we go, and show you the different formatting up here. So the number section of the home ribbon is where we do that. I can click on this one. That would format it as currency with 2 decimal points. That's dollars and cents, which would make sense. If you don't want to show the cents, you can decrease the decimals here, okay, so it doesn't show. For that, this one is comma. It basically is the same as currency but without the dollar signs. And again, you can decrease the decimal if you don't want it to show, or increase it if you do. If I was putting in a percentage, okay, so say I wanted 10%. If I just type in the number and then I hit that percent button, it's going to multiply it times 100 and add the percent sign. So what I typically do when I'm doing percents is I enter 10%, and then it automatically does that. Okay, but if you don't want to do it that way, you would, and you wanted 10%, you would have to type 0.1, and then you could format it as a percent. Okay, so either way works. Just keep in mind if you're applying a percent format that it multiplies times 10. And you can see we've got general, which is just no formatting, and then there's number formatting, currency, and accounting. The difference being $1 sign lines up at the left-hand side of the cell, the other was right next to the number. You can format date and time, percentages, fractions, scientific, and make a number appear to be text. Okay, so those are all different formatting options that you have for numbers. What we're going to do here is we're going to format all the numbers for our worksheet, even though we don't have all the numbers yet. So I want to talk just real quick about ranges. We'll hit this a little more, I think, next time. But basically, a range is a group of cells. And I define a range by its upper left and lower right corner. So if I wanted this range, it would be B3 colon K3, okay? Upper left and lower right. If I wanted this range, it would be B3 colon G7, okay? If I did this, it would be C11 colon C12. So whenever you have more than one cell, it's a range. Okay, so we're going to select the ranges. We're actually going to select non-contiguous ranges. So hold down or select fat white plus, don't use your fill handle, fat white plus, click in B3, drag over to K3, so that's selected. Then hold down the control button and do the same thing, B8 through K8. So we have those two ranges. And we're actually going to format that range as currency, and we're going to get rid of the zeros after the decimal place, so we will decrease the decimal. And then we will click off of that to deselect, and we will select the range B4 down to B7 and over to K7. Hold down Control and do B9 down to 11 over to K11. Okay, so again, we have two ranges, not necessarily next to each other, selected, and we will apply those as comma, and again get rid of the zeros after the decimal places. And when we put the formulas in for these cells, they'll automatically be formatted the way we want. Okay, so that is the end of part 1 of my Excel tutorial. Go ahead and save your work. If you're ready, you can move on to the next one. If not, go ahead and save it for later.